Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Black on Black Cinema. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Micah.
Hey.
All right, guys, it's just the two of us this week. The episode this week, episode 274, is Exhibiting Forgiveness. Let me read the logline here. A black artist on the path to success is derailed by an unexpected visit from his estranged father, a recovering addict desperate to reconcile. Together, they struggle and learn that forgetting might be a greater challenge than forgiving. This is starring Andre Hollad, Andra, John Earl Jelks, and Anjanou Ellis Taylor. I'll go first. This is super, super good. Like, this is ridiculously good. I have a personal stake in this movie because this is my life, except I'm not talented, and my dad doesn't come to see me. That's and didn't smoke crack, like, but had substance abuse issues, right? This is my entire fucking story, 1,000%. And I literally finished watching this, and I'm telling my wife about it, and she goes, "Does this remind you of your dad?" And I was like, "Yeah, what? Of course." Like, so this is great. Andre Hollad is flawless as he always is. If you don't know who Andre Hollad is, he is in Moonlight. He plays the light skinned dude, all grown up in Moonlight. He was also in. He's been in a bunch of things, but he also was in The Nick, which is it was a show on Cinemax, I believe. You can watch it on HBO Max or Max now. Highly recommend. Highly recommend. That was a show done by Steven Soderbergh where he played a doctor in the early 1900s with Clive Owen. It's fucking phenomenal. Andra is quite good. She's a little underused in this movie, I would say, but that's like the story is about a father and a son, right? So it makes sense. And she just plays his wife. John Earl Jelks plays LaRon. Terrell, played by Andre Holland's father. Phenomenal performance. As good as Andre Hollad is, I feel like John Earl Jelks actually steals all of the scenes for the most part that he's in with Andre Hollad, which is crazy.
I mean, he kind of has to, right? Like, that is a role that is like, that role is the role. It's the linchpin for how the Andre Hollad is playing off of him.
Yeah, no,
that's
right?
And yeah, you're right. He does an incredible job. I mean, cut you off, but look, this movie's really good. It's also really sad, but not sad in a, like, we've done a couple of other like melancholy movies.
It's not Mississippi Damned.
Well, that's not melancholy. That's just that's horrible. That's just like, God damn. I mean, like Medicine for Melancholy, which I wasn't a big fan of.
I really like that movie.
The Last Black Man in San Francisco, I think, is kind of a melancholy movie. It was. Did we do that on the show?
No, we decided to call an audible and not do it.
Okay, that's why. Yeah, I was
literally at the time, the three of us were like, nah, B.
Yeah,
it wasn't for me.
So those movies are, those movies, in my opinion, aren't great, and they certainly don't hold a candle to this movie. Yeah, man, when I see things like this, I am reminded of how privileged I am, right? Like, that I didn't have this type of relationship with my father. My father and our relationship was a little different. It wasn't anything like this. It wasn't anything like this.
It just had jaw rough patches, no doubt about it.
Yeah, like any father and son, but like, my father wasn't like, I was on crack, Mike. Like no.
That's a wild statement.
Right. But just because I didn't have this, doesn't mean that I don't know people who did. And I know how to empathize, so I can, and stuff like this is how I experience
Right.
this type of stuff. And man, it's heart wrenching, man. But it's also like it's something that you need to see because you need to see black men are portrayed in movies and stuff as like super fucking cool and super fucking confident, right? Like, but we are full-fledged like humans with a range of emotion.
Yes, thank you.
And when people are like when when black men were like, well, what are you going to do for me? Why should I vote for you? What are you going to do for me? Right? Like, I think I understand what they're trying to say. I just think they're saying it in a very selfish way. Right? Like, you don't want to be like, what do you want? People want everything for them. They don't realize that like society as a whole needs to advance for you to advance. But at the same time, right? Like, if you feel like you're not being thought of, or if you feel like, if that same society is telling you that you gotta fucking be a man and internalize shit and don't fucking cry and no fear, no weakness, right? Like, then, right. It's like an Ouroboros, man. Like, society is fucking chomping at you, but like, then society gets mad at you for being fucking angry and black.
Yeah.
Well, what the fuck, yo? Like,
you did
like,
this.
what is it?
Like,
right. Like, come on, man. Like,
I agree.
Like, you can't tell me that I gotta steal up, but then like you complain that like men don't show their fucking emotions and shit. Like, you need to go to like, yo, come on, man.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, that is that's a sort of a big message in this, right? This idea of we should not layer these, like, I want to say it's a sins of the father kind of conversation, but I would argue that's a sort of a shallow way of looking at it.
I think it's more generational trauma than sins of the father.
Right, exactly. Because you have this guy who was this terrible father, but you get a glimpse of, and he often says it, like, actually multiple people say it, like, I'm doing what my father did to you. Now, some people are saying that negatively. He says it in a positive way. Like, the perspectives of sort of the generational trauma in this case is off as it goes from generation to generation. And then like the defense of the generations who did dirt to you and everything like that. It's fascinating, right? The movie also deals with religion, like, sort of very much black Christian religion.
I know you was perked up, boy.
I was like, do I need to rewind? Like, say it again. No, but it's a fascinating aspect to this. But what I liked about it, and I say this with no level of hyperbole, I have never seen a black movie handle the idea of forgiveness, Christian forgiveness, in a better way. I have never heard, and not of like, fuck Christianity. Like, that's not what it does. It uses it, but it uses it in a way I think is so much more palatable for younger generations. Older generations are like, you gotta forgive people, and like, that's it. Like, you just gotta suck it up and just forgive these people who do terrible things to you. This movie's like, do you though? Like, I'm not so sure. I hear you, but let's talk about this in a more nuanced perspective. And I love that because it is actually an honest way of handling it. I actually really, really like that.
It speaks to me in a way that I cannot describe to you because I go through my ebbs and flows with religion. I have no problem believing in a God, but come on, like, I'm not, you can't just be like,
can't turn your brain off.
Yeah, I can't turn my brain off, and I don't have it in me to forgive, right? I have it in me to forgive. I have it in me to forgive, But yo, and like the tagline for this movie, not the log line for this movie. Like I can forgive, but I'm never gonna forget. I'm never ever going to forget. And and look, maybe that's something that I need to work on, right? In therapy or whatever.
Nah, fuck that.
But nah, yo.
Nah, lean into it, dog. You got it. Oh, fuck that. I mean,
man.
But the movie does a very good job of it.
I'm sorry.
I just thought that was great.
I'm sorry. Yeah, one last thing about that, like it was not lost on me at all. I'm looking at Andre Hollad. Andre Hollad was born in 1979, and it is not lost on me at all that our generation, the generation that you and I grew up in, is the one that says enough is enough, it's time for a change, right? Andre Hollad, his character is just internalizing all that fucking bullshit that he had to go through as a kid, right? And he refuses to pass that shit on. But that's a heavy weight to carry, man. It really is. When all you know is what your father did to you, right? And you say, all right, I'm not going to do this, right? Yeah. I got beatings as a kid and shit. Right. But like that shit ends with me. Exactly. And you know, and not just with like the dad, but like I feel like there's been like and you'll have to tell me, right? But I feel like there's been not an atheist awakening, I guess, for lack of a better term,
in our generation.
With our generation, right? The first time I heard the term atheist was in middle school. And I know it's been around, maybe, and look, it's been around forever, right?
Yeah, sure.
But I feel like our generation is
scientists at one point.
But I feel like our generation, and look, maybe I'm reaching, but I feel like our generation was the one that kind of were out and proud about it.
Yeah, no, I think that's largely correct. There, weirdly, like there seems to be kind of a resurgence of religion. I mean, like overall in the world, religion is kind of dying, but that's a strong word. But you know, it's tapering down. It's probably maybe a better way of saying it. But in the U.S., I feel like there is a big like kind of they're trying to like push for a revival. Which is a scary thing to me. I think it's okay for you to be religious, but I think the revival is based in this sort of, it's not based, how do I say this without...
It's the cult version of religion that wants to be revived, right? It is what it is, right? Like I believe in God and all that, but I'm not like...
It's not, it feels less like a thinking man's like, I'm being spiritual and I believe in God and stuff like that. It feels more like I'm kind of like, I've been doing all this like wild shit. And so now I feel like I need to go this sort of fake pious avenue. Like I see it on like social media a lot now. And I'm like, okay, but why though? Like it's really weird. It doesn't feel genuine to me. It honestly, it just doesn't feel genuine.
See, I see it a little different. Because I feel like that's always been the case, right? Like you do your dirt 6 days a week, and then you go on Sunday and beg for forgiveness, right? I see it more as people used to use at least in my family, people used to use religion as a guide, right? Like a moral compass.
Sure.
And now they're using it as a fucking ninja star, throwing them goddamn compasses at you to make you bend to other people's will.
Yeah,
that's the big issue. That's the thing that I see is trying to resurge, right? Like, and it's like everything. It's like politics, right? Like the extremes on both sides feel like, to me as a layperson, they feel like they're trying to bubble up and bubble up and bubble up. Same thing with religion, right? I feel like hyper atheists and hyper religious people are both trying to right, and it's like there's always a happy medium, man. There just is.
Yeah, my attitude is I like to give religion, and it's more so giving you a hard time on this show.
I don't think hell you are.
Okay.
And there is no hell. So again, happy medium.
Right, like we're gonna both end up in a box is what's gonna happen. Well, I'll be cremated like a normal person.
Yeah, I'll be cremated. I'm not gonna put that stress on my children. Get out of here.
Yeah, it's too expensive. I'm thinking the finances. Like,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
like, it shows a lot of money, man.
Take me out on a boat, and if there's an annoying person, bring them out on the boat as well, and maybe something will happen to them. You guys should really watch Bad Sisters. It's a really good show. But I say all that, like I give you a hard time just because I think it's funny. But in reality, I don't think about religion at all. I don't think about it at all unless people are using it to your point. Like I always think of religion as like this thing, like as a shield, right? Which is supposed to shield you from like all of the bullshit of the world. And that's how you see it, right? And I think that's totally fine, right? However you want to look at it. I have a problem, to your point, when you use it as a cudgel, like Captain America uses it to beat people over the fucking head with. That's not what religion is supposed to be. It is supposed to be a thing for you. Right, it is your spirituality and all that stuff, and I got no problem with that. Keep it to yourself. I just don't care, and it's totally fine. You're not hurting anybody by going to church every Sunday and believing in God or whatever. That's fine. Why would it bother me? I don't give a shit, right? But when you take that and you use that as a way to beat people down or try to take their rights or to say women shouldn't have XYZ abilities in society and stuff like that, that's where I have an issue. I have no problem. Like, I don't get offended if someone at the grocery store is like, have a blessed day. God bless you. Sure. Great. All right. Whatever. May Xenu bless you as well. Who cares? It doesn't offend me. Like you say happy holidays or Merry Christmas. I don't give a shit. It's fine. That doesn't offend me. But if you're like, hey, thank you for shopping at this grocery store. Women should not be allowed to have abortions because it's against God. Okay, then I have a problem with that. That's a really weird way for me to end this Trader Joe's purchase, right? So, like, for me, as long as you're keeping it to yourself and you're doing your thing and you're positive about it, I got no problem with it. But I do think the movie does a really good job of it runs right up against it, right? Like, you got his, like, very religious mom and religious dad who are, they're just sliding it right in your face. And normally in a black movie, it would be like, well, I agree with everything you're saying. I'm going to forgive you. And they all hold hands and they sing a song at the end and fucking credits. That's not what happens here. And our character, I don't think is an atheist. Like that's the wild shit. I don't think he actually is. I think he is religious, but he's just kind of like, yes, but hold on a second. Like, like, nah, my nigga. Like, you're not just going to slide anything past me.
I'm very aware of that.
Yeah. Right. Like, again, this movie speaks to me and it speaks to Micah, a happy medium, right? Like, so I really appreciated it, especially the ending. I really appreciate it. I thought it was honest. Like, it felt honest. And part of that probably is because this is directed by Titus Kaphar, who this is semi-autobiographical, right? Like, he's an artist. He's dealt with these things. My guess is that's also his take on religion and so on and so forth. So I think it's an honest look. And I honestly, I think it's brave as a director to do that because I can see it turning off a lot of black people ultimately. But he's like, no, this is my story. Like, it is what it is, like it or not. And I appreciate that. And I don't find it offensive. Like, I don't think it's offensive to religious people, and I don't think it's offensive to atheists either, or people somewhere in the middle, right? So I thought it was dope. All right, so the movie in and of itself. So the film starts off with Andre Holland's character, Terrell. He is in his studio. He is obviously very successful. This house is fucking gorgeous. Jesus Christ. It's so nice. And he has his own studio, with studio space, which is fucking incredible. My God. And he is painting a picture that shows him painting a picture of his father. And it just sort of does this very cool effect of going from a drawing into, like fading into real life. And you see his father, this old man, Laurent. He's a homeless man, or unhoused, as you're supposed to say now, apparently. So he's a homeless man, and he's out there like washing somebody's car outside of a convenience store. And this guy comes out, and he's like, it's the guy who runs the convenience store, and he's like, "Hey, Laurent, like, here, man, like, take some food." Like, he gives him some chips or something. He's like, "Man, you shouldn't be out here. It's like too hot," right? It's like one old man looking after another old man. Like, they're roughly the same age, right? Which is also fucking sad. So you see Laurent kind of picking through the garbage, drinking some water or what have you. And then he walks into the convenience store, and he sees a guy who has beaten up the owner. He had like cut his arm or some shit like that. And the young guy who does it like is yelling at the guy, and he's like, "You made me do this. I didn't want to do this," or whatever, because he's just trying to rob the guy, right? And the guy is, he's I guess a little like hysterical as he's trying to take the money, and he's just standing there, and Laurent picks up a bat and just hits this dude in the back a couple of times, right? Because he's clearly protective of the guy who runs the convenience store, right?
Yeah.
And then as he knocks the guy down, he goes to get a bottle of water, because it's like, well, this guy is injured. My friend's down. I think I deserve this free water, basically. Which, look, this is hobo rules. I'm okay with it. And you see the sort of CCTV footage. The guy gets back up, and then he wrestles Laurent to the ground, and then kicks him repeatedly, breaking his ribs and like really fucking him up. And then that guy gets away, and we see Laurent eventually exit the liquor store. He's very badly beaten, and he makes his way over to his brother's house. Meanwhile, that's sort of intercut with Terrell waking up next to his wife, like basically in a panic, right? And you're seeing flashes of what we come to find out is his childhood. And he wakes up, he can't breathe, and like he's kind of waking up like really violently.
Yeah, it's like a night terror, man.
Yeah, yeah. And again, Andre Hollad is our age, okay? Like, he's not 12.
Right.
Which is really, really fucking terrifying shit. That, like, this stuff that has happened with his father still weighs on him in ways like this, right? As a grown man.
Yeah, I still vividly remember the worst beating I've ever received from my father. I was in 5th grade, and he literally beat me to the white meat, right? Like the shit fucking, like I had little white crescent marks from the extension cord, and I couldn't sit down I was in 5th grade, and I couldn't sit down because it hurt the next day. Wow. And then they called child services and shit. Because
no shit. Like, are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah. Like they were like, "Why can't you sit down?" And I said, "Don't touch my leg." And I had the fucking marks all on my leg from the previous night.
Wow. You were in 5th grade. Holy shit.
Yep. I remember that shit.
Wow. Yeah, I never had child services called. Certainly got plenty of whoopings, as it were. Like, you call them, I'm gonna beat them too, I believe was a thing that was said in the house. So I was like, you know what? Let me just take this beat. I don't need to bring the government into these meetings. That feels like a bad idea. Yeah, my dad only beat me once. That was more my mom's job. She was real good at it too. She used to wear my little ass out. But like, I did, and it wasn't like every week, but it wasn't once. How about that?
Right.
But yeah, my dad beat me one time, and like my mom was like, "Nigga, you need to relax." I'm like, "Yo, what are you talking about? Like, you're the expert. Are you?" Please, you've not been quite easy there, lady. Like, how dare you? But yeah, she was like, all right. This is like, oh, do you feel sorry for me now? Good. Well, thanks, Mom. Fast forward 1 month later. But yeah, so these sort of night terrors really are the sort of defining point between his current life and his past, right? At this point, that's sort of the connective tissue there. And we see him, having breakfast with his wife, Andre Day's character, Aisha, and their son. I can't remember his name. Jermaine, thank you. It's a cute kid, by the way. And they're there, and like everything is good. He is being the dad that dads would like to be, right? He is listening. He is involved. He's got that look of like he's a proud father, like just watching his son talk, and just like being a kid. I assume this kid is what, 4, 3.5, 4, thereabouts.
Yeah, maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah,
I think 3 is a little too young.
Yeah, and here's the thing: this is the most unrealistic part of the movie. This kid is way too well behaved at 5 years old. Like, get out of here!
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Kids are the worst at this age. Like, no, my daughter has way too many opinions. Are you kidding me?
Like, yeah. No, all that fucking do what I tell you to do, and all that. Let's read this book together, and he quietly does sit there and listens to it. No.
All right, this is about as real as Star Wars. Okay,
Right.
Might as well have lasers in this scene. I was like, I don't believe any of this. This kid's not even talking back like a little asshole at 5 years old, because that's what they do. But breakfast is over. He goes into his very nice studio. By the way, good grief, my wife would murder for a studio space like this. And so he goes there and he paints these unbelievably large canvas paintings, and they are incredible. By the way, they are the actual
the artist paintings
of
the director's paintings.
Yes, Titus Kaphar. You should look up his work, by the way, if you're watching this or listening to this. He's very good. He does sort of ultra realistic, but sort of pushing back on sort of societal norms, kind of in the same vein as like a Kahindi Wiley or something like that, if you know who he is. For folks who don't know that name, just because my wife's an artist, so I think I'm required to know. He's the guy who did the Obama painting, right? With like Obama sitting in the chair with the flowers and stuff. So yeah, it's very similar to that style, which is pretty dope. And so you see him painting like kids on climbing a chain link fence, a truck with a bunch of junk in the back, a lawnmower on fire, just a bunch of pretty interesting things. His art represent like I guess like an art dealer type of thing. She comes over.
It's like a manager. Manager.
She comes over and she's like, "Look, man." She starts like checking out all of his shit, and he's like, "Yeah, this isn't done." And like you can tell, like it's like a total artist thing. Like he's like flipping over paintings so she can't see them. She's like, "Oh my god, this is amazing." He's like, "No." And like, so he's not just like a shitty commercial artist where he's just like, just trying to paint things to get cash, right? Like he actually really believes in this stuff, which I think is dope.
But she on the other hand is like, no, it's perfect. Let's sell it.
Yeah,
because like I need to get paid too.
Yeah, that's good money. Yeah, I mean, it's not like what is it? Alex Kincaid or whatever that guy's name is. Or he's dead now, I think. The Master of Light just sell like a shit ton of those mediocre paintings. So she's all about it, and she's looking at all of this stuff, and she's like, "Listen, we need to." She even says, "Boo hoo, Mr. Tortured Artist." He's like, I actually got like real shit going on.
Bitch, you don't know me. Like what the
fuck? What you think I'm painting? Like, look at all this shit. This is my entire horror story of a childhood. But she's like, "Listen, I need you to do another show. Like, let's ride the wave. You got this really positive response to your last show. Let's get this money, son." And his son Jermaine comes in, and it is a perfect distraction because he's like, "Yeah, time to go. Got to get out of here. Like, you get the fuck out of here too. So she's like, all right, like, come on, you should do another show. And so they leave. He goes back into the house. Again, this house is fucking amazing. I bet it's the artist's house, probably.
Oh, it probably is the director's house. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if I had his kind of money and popularity, that's the kind of house I would have. And so he's reading to his son, which is what every father should do. Please read to your children for the love of God, especially if you're a black father. And he's reading a book about, I don't fear like anything. So
it's called Life Doesn't Frighten Me.
Yes. I don't have that book, but I've definitely heard of it. So
I don't have it. We have other like affirming books that we try to. A lot of them involve hair. I think a lot of black women write these books because a lot of them involve like, don't fucking touch my hair. Like my hair is good. Like
no, my daughter's favorite book and the first movie she saw. What's the name of that book? They did like a little short.
Hair Love.
Yeah, that was the very first movie she ever watched. Yep. And she watched it because we had read the book like a million times because she loved it, and we watched it with her. And my wife and I literally were just crying. Like she's like, "This movie's awesome." It's 6 minutes, and we're just crying. It's just like that's one of those like Micah remembers that the worst beating he ever got. I remember when my daughter watched a movie for the first time. Like she was like all in, and I was like, "This is a very good way to start." And now you're gonna go see the new Superman movie next year. That's what's happening. Progress. So there's a fucking Coco Melon stuffy over there.
Yeah, that's the worst part of this movie.
Just that they even let their child watch that shit. We did. I regretted it every day afterwards. But
no, I couldn't. I couldn't get out of here.
If you play that noise around kids just in the background, people have done videos like the kids are like, like it's like a dog whistle for small children. It's sad. It's like if you play the Pornhub opening, like dudes are like, I know. So he Terrell gets a call from his mother, and
hold on. So they Terrell's talking with his wife. He's like, look, the agent wants me to do another show.
All right.
And the wife is like, all right, but like, let this be it. Meanwhile, LaRon shows up at his brother's house, because he's injured. He doesn't know where else to go. So brother, after threatening him with a pistol because he didn't know who the fuck it was, he lets him in. He cuts his hair, tries to clean him up. The brother's wife comes home and was like, "Hey, baby, I got, so they didn't have vanilla ice cream, so I got what I thought was apropos, fucking chunky monkey. Looking at your fat ass, right?" And she stops in her tracks when she sees LaRon, and it was like, "Nigga, where my money?"
Yeah,
like,
she was
she wasn't playing with that shit. She was like, "Get the fuck out."
Yeah.
And so LaRon goes and they take him to like a halfway house. And the guy who runs the halfway house is very much like, look, you follow my rules. You want to stay here. We're going to church. We're doing this. We're doing that.
Right.
And the second you don't, you're gone. Right. So we'll see how
that dude wasn't playing either.
Right. Like we'll see how serious you are. And we get somewhat of, and then we see LaRon sitting there. This is when his life is about to change. And then we get like a somewhat of a matching shot when we see LaRon sitting on the bed, then fade into the match shot, like a mirrored match shot of Terrell sitting on the bed.
Right.
And then, him flashing back to a quick memory of him sitting on the bed. And the two men are kind of like wayward. And I think the two shots are kind of there to illustrate that.
Yeah.
So the next day, Terrell is trying to move his mother out of her old home. And he goes over there and he's like, yo, you haven't packed. Like, what's up, yo? Like, what's up with this? And she was like, oh, don't worry about it. Right. Cause she's like my mother. She looked like your mother and act like my mother. Like, I don't know what, this little lady complete with blue hair. And she's like, it won't take long. It won't take long to
pack a whole house?
Right. Yes, like literally nothing was packed. Like,
I would have been like, his response is exactly me. I'm like, yo, come on, yo. Come on, yo. What are we doing, yo? Like, you trying to make me crazy? Like, that's an insane response. It ain't going to take long. Yes, it is. I'm going to go home.
But it turns out it was all a ruse.
It was all a dream.
The mom invited LaRon over because she's like, look, y'all gotta hash this out.
Look,
you ever have a sit down, let's hash it out over a beer type of shit
with my dad?
Before we get into how they do it. Was it like this in this movie?
No, nigga, it was definitely not like this. But here's the thing. I wish that it were. This is a way better idea. No, I did. I did. I did. So I moved to California at one point in 2007. And 2 weeks before I left, I was like, you know what? This dude only knows that I've lived in Baltimore, right? And I'm moving to the West Coast. Let me give this one last try. Okay. And so at that point, I'm 27, right? Moving to the West Coast. And at that point, I'm not planning on ever coming back to the East Coast. I'm like, out, deuces, fuck y'all. Get out of here. Off to, greener, warmer pastures. And so I went and saw him, right? Like, I know where he lives. He ain't moved. And at that point, we hadn't talked since right before I graduated high school. And I'm 27. Okay. So a bit of time has passed. And so I went and saw him just randomly. I didn't call or anything like that. I just went up there. And we had a conversation. And I was like, look, this is, just letting you know, like, I'm moving and all this other shit. And like, he was just basically like, yeah, like it's interesting when people talk to you because they only know you in like a time. It's like a time capsule. Like, they only know you. He only knows me as like really as a kid and like as an early
as a child. Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm a grown ass man. Like, I've seen a boob before, like in real life. Like, get out of here. You can tell me nothing. And so I talked to him about it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm moving or whatever. And he's like, yeah, your mother always, kind of kept me away from you or whatever. I was like it was quite literally like an out of body experience when people say this, because I'm not like, I can be very confrontational, but in certain aspects, I just, I mean, that's hello. But in certain aspects, I don't like to be when it comes to certain shit, right? Like, because I get in my head a lot, and I'm just like, I don't really want to deal with this. I would rather just never speak to you again. That's way easier for me about certain things, like especially very serious things. Unfortunately, like that's how my dumb brain works. Like bullshit. Oh, fucking let's go. I challenge you on shit all the time. And it was like an out of body experience for me. And I was talking to him, and he's like, oh, your mother, blah, blah, blah. And I stopped, and I could literally just like watch myself saying this. And I'm like, nigga, what are you doing? And I was just like, I'm not here to have you badmouth my mom. Like, and I was like, oh shit, son. Like, damn. Like,
yeah.
I was like,
stood up to him.
Right. Like I high-fived myself and shit. Like, in the moment, it was just fucking wild because I never did that. Right. And he did a lot of, like dirty shit, to be honest. And like as a father. And I was just like, look, like she raised me and she did a damn good job, like a great job, and you were not there. Like, so I'm not here to like have you badmouth my mom. And I don't think like even he was like, nigga, wait, what the fuck is happening? Like, yeah, yo, I'm not 13 anymore. Like, and like it kind of shut him down a little bit. And that felt really good. And that was just like that was the most like confrontational I got. But that ended that conversation of like, yo, you're not gonna badmouth my mom. Like, yo, I'm not gonna stand for that shit. And I gave him my number or whatever, and he told me, oh, you gotta be careful. They got earthquakes out there, and the Bible says the California's gonna fall into the ocean. And I was like, all right, this conversation.
The Bible said California is gonna fall in.
Okay. Again, a person who I never in my life, I never saw go to church except for at funerals, like literally like his sister's when he fell asleep at his sister's funeral when I was a kid. I never saw him as a religious person at all. Suddenly in his elder years, I guess he found religion, and I mean he wasn't an atheist, but just like it's kind of a nigga on the street.
Yeah,
He's just out there.
You take it more seriously as you as you realize you're about to die.
Right, exactly. Like definitely he believed in God, but just kind of like, yeah, I know that nigga, but like I'll speak to him when I'm in my 80s, I guess, right? And so that was like a really weird experience. And I gave him my number or whatever. And I'm not reaching out. I came to you.
Like, yeah, you already did reach out.
I reached out, and I'm like, all right, step 2, here we go. Nothing. And so I was like, all right, bet. That's cool. That was it. That was it for me. I don't care. Like, it's, you showed me who you were, and that's cool. I'm of the attitude when people show you who they are, believe them. It's cool, bro. Like, it's no big deal. Like, it just, yeah. So, I find it interesting. Like, this movie is a lot of mirrored experience. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't hate the guy or whatever. Like, I don't. Like, if he called me today, which would be fucking weird, but if he somehow got a hold of me and called me today, I'd talk to him. But like, you're not going to meet my daughter. Why?
Yeah, I was about to say. I was thinking that like, you gonna quote Andre. Now I haven't seen you for such years. Now you somebody grandpappy.
Yeah, nah, bro. No, bro. No. Absolutely not. Yeah, she exists. Absolutely. Here's a picture of her. You'll never talk to her. You'll never meet her. No. Why? She has a grandfather. She has 2. She's got my father-in-law. She's got my stepdad. That's enough. She's good.
There you go.
We're all stocked up here. Like, no, you don't deserve that. You don't deserve it. Like, you didn't earn that shit. You don't deserve it. And I know, when he dies, that's what people say to you, which is annoying as fuck to me. Oh, when he dies, you're gonna feel bad. No, I'm not. I can guarantee. No, I'm not. I'm not gonna be happy about it, but I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, all the time I missed. No, I'm not. I'm gonna go. Yeah.
Has anybody hit you with what the movie does? Not to jump ahead towards the end, but
forgive him.
Yeah, like you got to forgive him, or you won't be forgiven. Like
no, they've never said or you won't be forgiven, because I'd be like, by who? Like, because they already know. Like, I'm an atheist. Like, who am I being forgiven by? Like, no. Like, my tax attorney? Like, who are you talking about? Right? So like, that doesn't do anything for me. But I believe in forgiveness if you genuinely mean it. And I also believe in forgiveness if that person is genuinely sorry and is trying to change. I'm not saying that I could not forgive him if he came to me and was like, hey, yada, 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 yada. These are all the things that I did wrong. I'm sorry. But I'm not going to reach out for you to do that. You need to do those things. If you feel that you can't do that, then you feel that you can't do that. It is what it is. I know that he's reconciled with my half-sister. Shrug. I don't care. So I don't give a fuck. Fuck her too, by the way. So like, yeah.
Did he skip step 9 because you tried on a cashmere sweater and the neck hole was so big after you?
Yeah.
That's how I did. That's how I deal with
Yeah, no, just got me.
serious and dramatic shit. Just try to
Yeah.
make people laugh.
Where's the rump raisin? Get out of here. I just don't like my dad was an alcoholic when I was a kid. He's not a recovering alcoholic. He's just functional. Like I don't think it ever stopped. But I just don't I just don't give a shit. Like I honestly don't care. And I know it's like a very cliche thing where guys are like, I don't give a fuck, bro. No, I've dealt with it. Like I have thought about it. I have talked about it in therapy and stuff like that. I don't care because I can't force a hand of another adult to do right by me. I can't. You just can't. I'm gonna fucking fly to Baltimore and drag his ass into therapy for fucking 40 hours a week until the day he dies? No. I mean, but at the same time, in this movie, not to skip ahead, but we can get there. He was raised by somebody that was maybe not the best. So it's like, how much can I expect of him when he doesn't come from something that is, particularly loving?
See,
and I'm going to tell a really horrifying story when we get there, by the way.
I don't accept that though.
No, you have a responsibility to be better to your kids than your parents were to you.
You gotta leave it better than you came in.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, and I feel like, and I was so pissed when LaRon said that as a justification, like, because everybody hears that shit,
right?
And it's like, nah, man, like, well, that's all I knew. So you knew it was bad. You knew that this made you feel bad, and you decided to do it again anyway because that's all you know. Nah, yo, I don't find that. I find that to be one of the lamest excuses ever. Like, I accepted the fact that he said, I was on crack, son. Like, that's more of an excuse than that's all I knew. Right. Nah, nigga. But like, maybe that's me. I don't forget.
Yeah, no, but that's my attitude. Like, I am willing to forgive, but I'm definitely never going to forget. No, you can 100% guarantee that. Nah, I'm like an elephant in that way. Like, I'm not. Like, I can't. I'm a human being. But when a lot of times when people ask about forgiveness, especially from a like sort of like religious aspect, they want you to forget. No, I'm not going to do that. Like, I get it. All right, like, piece it up. All right, we're cool. Hey, you remember what I did that last time? Yeah, I remember. Like, I'm not going to put myself in a position to allow you to do that again. And like, that's my attitude as far as like why I wouldn't introduce my daughter to him is I'm not going to let you say something to her that will do irreparable damage to her and put her through some shit. No. My daughter's adopted. Like, he doesn't have the couth not to say some dumb shit out of his mouth. He doesn't. Yeah. Or at least growing up, he didn't. Right? So, like, what? I'm going to have him say some shit? And, like, my kid is really smart. Like, she's not going to be like, what does that mean? Like, she's not a fucking idiot. She's very smart. So,
she knows what bioluminescence is.
Right. He has like 3, which is weird. I'm like, all right, you go to school. Get out of my face. Too goddamn smart. But it's ridiculous. And so I'm just like, I'm not going to risk that. And I don't like. My wife and I have to deal with like explaining to my daughter about adoption, like probably fairly soon. I'm not adding in, oh, and here's another grandfather who wasn't there and a kind of a piece of shit, and maybe dad sometimes has anger issues because of those things, right? Like, I'm not bringing all that shit up. When she's a teenager, we can sit down and talk about that, right? Like, but no, for now, he gonna be long and dead by then. Here's a picture of him. Is that what he looked like? Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Like,
so
yeah.
Let me so the ruse, right? Like the mom tried to get the son and the father together.
Gotcha.
But it was a gotcha moment, and yeah, all right, that's fine. You try to get them together. Don't surprise people, yo.
Not
you can't do that, yo. You can't have somebody pop in. That's not going to work, yo. Nobody likes a pop in. Nobody likes a person to pop in on them first thing in the morning. They just don't.
That's true. No, he's not wrong. He's 100%.
So yeah, this didn't go well. We see a quick scene of Terrell and his half brother. She was like, can you believe mom tried to sneak my father back into my life? Man, what the fuck, yo? Get the fuck out of here. That's wild, yo.
I did like the half brother. He was like, fuck that nigga.
Right, yeah, because that's what your brother's supposed to say, yo.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, look, I have a stepbrother, and he's very much like this. Like, yo, this story is like, it's wild how like down the line, it's hilarious.
The only more is this, and I'm through with white girls. If you combine those two movies somehow, you combine those two movies. That's your autobiography right there.
Yo, if we could find that movie, we would do it. Like, that movie is, it's weird. It's weird. Like, the names of characters are the same. I'm like, all right, yo. Like, did somebody just like, they were just using a spyglass to watch me for like a year? Very weird. Except I'm a better dancer at the end of that movie.
Oh shit. So look, let's get to I'm skipping around some of the lighter scenes. And we see a really, really good scene coming up where Terrell is like, all right, you want me to meet with him? You my mom, I love you, I'll meet with him. And they met in the basement of the halfway house. Is that what that is?
Yeah, I believe so.
And Terrell has a camera, and he's recording this shit like a damn deposition. And and they kind of,
yikes,
they have it out. They have it out in a very, very, very good scene.
They're
Again,
putting on
this is one of those scenes. This is one of those scenes where John Earl Jelks is scene stealing, and it's powerful, man. It's basically like, the father's like, I'm a changed man, and the son is like, nah, yo, that's bullshit, yo, because like people don't change in they fucking 60s or 70s. Like, they're not gonna change. And the two of them were going back and forth, and LaRon had a big he snapped for a second, and that's all Terrell needed, right? Like, see, there it is. There's that angry nigga coming back out. This was a sad scene, man, because like I didn't have to have this type of conversation or this heavy of a conversation with my father, but I did have a couple talks like this with him, and it was hard, man. It was hard to get through. As a person that like, at one point, I've always loved my father, but at one point I didn't like him at all.
Right.
Stuff like that just kept coming. Stuff like that was just coming back to me.
Right.
And it was, and then you feel all that anger and shit, and we're fine now because like when you're young and you're dumb, you don't really know shit, you don't really know how hard things can be when you get older. But at the same time, now that I'm older, I have to remember that I was younger at one point, and I think a lot of older people from just above our generation, they kind of forget about it because like they had to go through they didn't have to necessarily go through some hard shit, but they saw it firsthand. Their parents went through the most horrendous shit within this century.
Right.
And so they that's where that shit comes from, right? Like you don't know what real fucking struggle is.
Right.
But like, I don't know, man. I think that should be the goal. Like you shouldn't know, kids shouldn't have to know what real, kids should struggle, right? I'm not saying give your kid shit, right? Kids should struggle, but they shouldn't have to know what real struggle is. They shouldn't have to know what fucking
Jim Crow
Billy clubs to the back of the head struggle.
Right.
They shouldn't even have to know what fucking getting spat on at a diner countertop is. They shouldn't have to know what that is.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it is interesting, right? Like there is a generational shift, right? Our parents' generation, let's say born roughly at this point, like in the 50s, right? Early 50s. And they literally were born at a time that black people, and I'm speaking of black people very specifically here. They were born at a time black people didn't even vote. Like they couldn't vote. Like that's like a weird thing in America that people just, I don't think really realize. Like, why aren't black people figuring shit out for themselves yet? I'm like, yo, my parents were born at a time where you could not vote. That's insane, right? Like, there was a large part of my grandmother's life. She could not vote. That's fucking nuts. So, like, they were born in this world, and then it's like, okay, you got the right to vote. And then you're fighting tooth and nail with violence and everything else. And they saw all of that. They were a part of all of those things, right? Potentially. And definitely their parents were a part of it, potentially. And so, to me, it did so many different things to that generation, both their parents' generation and them, in having this like deep-seated respect for their parents' ability to fight and to like just fucking grind to get through it. But it also, because of that, those parents of like our grandparents' generation, they were so damaged in so many ways, right? You imagine waking up and people just calling you boy and treating you like dog shit day in and day out, and you not getting like the basic fucking level of respect as a man, as a woman, all out in the world. But then you come home and you're supposed to demand this level of, authority because you're a parent. Like that is just, a part of it. It's like this weird dichotomy where you're being treated like a child during the day, and then you come home to your family, and then you have to like be the parent. Like that has to like generationally fuck people up, right?
Yeah, because it's like I'm getting stepped on. Well, fuck that. I got to step on somebody else. Right? Like,
and so they were probably a bit harder. They're a bit harder on their kids, our parents, than our parents ever deserved to be. Like they didn't deserve that. And so then our parents come along and they're more evolved, like parentally more evolved than their parents, certainly. But they still carry a lot of that shit too, right? Like Andre Hollad says, I hear your voice in my head, right? Like when I'm talking to my son and when Jermaine messes up, I hear you in my head. And that scares me. That like, and dude, when I tell you this, I understand that so fucking clearly.
Who you telling? Who you telling? Like one of the things that, me and my wife talked about before we, really were serious and before we got married and stuff like that. Like I had to tell her about, or thinking about kids and stuff. I had to tell her, I said, look, I told her about like my past and things that I've done, the things that I've had done to me by my parents and stuff. And my parents are wonderful people. I don't want to come
Yeah,
off
they're
here
good people.
like,
Yeah, they're
my parents are incredible. You would be lucky to have my parents. Okay.
good.
But,
Your
but
mom is Marge Simpson, 100%.
she is, like she is, she's Marge Simpson, but at the same time, like, I there's aspects about my father that I do not want to perpetuate. And my wife was like, "Oh, don't worry, I'm gonna make sure you don't." And it's just like, but like that's
Yo,
why.
knowing,
But like you
knowing
mean that,
her, knowing, as I've heard that story, knowing her, that's 100% correct. Like, no, we're not doing that. Like, get the fuck out of
Yeah,
here.
we're not
Like,
doing that, We're not doing it. So,
we didn't.
okay, then it's like, all right, I got a backup. You know what I mean? I got my in case I start to slip. Because I hear my father come out in me all the time, especially when I get frustrated.
Nigga, it's maddening, yo. It's maddening. When you say something, you're like, the fuck was that? It's like, oh shit, it was me. Like, yeah. Your parents speak through you, yo, and like, and not in a like spiritual way, but like just in an influence kind of way. Like, it is really weird, right? Even though like I've not spent the vast majority of my life at this point around my father in any way, I did when I was young. And that shit gets fucking imprinted on you in a way that you cannot imagine until you have kids. And you're like, oh shit, there it is. Like it's really weird. It's a very strange thing. But Laurent goes into talking about how his father like worked him, like how they had a truck, like Laurent had a truck, and they just used to basically shovel shit and like the junk man type of thing in the neighborhood, and he would bring Terrell with him and just work him and work him and work him, and he talks about how basically that's what his dad did, right? And how when he told his dad that his girlfriend Joyce was pregnant with Terrell, like the dad, even though he was like a preacher, he was just like completely dismissive. And that said to his mom, like, oh, that's your son, the sinner. That baby is born in sin and all this other stuff. Just a real like a dirtbag, right? And he talks about him pulling a gun on him and his mother, and he's like, yeah, but he was a good man. And you're like, and Terrell's like, nah, yo, you just said he pulled a gun on y'all and held it to your mom's head, which is fucking insane. That part, I have no experience with any of that in my own personal life. I always just like to point that out. My dad never pulled a gun on me at all. No thanks. I do believe he stabbed a nigga in like the 70s though, which is kind of funny to me. Like in the ass, like he's trying to take his girl or some shit. I remember the story he told me about that. I was like, all right. Niggas used to just get stabbed. That's crazy. But it's so he tells that story and he talks about basically like you see Terrell realizing like, oh, his dad experienced this trauma, and that's the reason why he's the way that he is.
But it just like this is where the blow up happens, right? Because it's like, yo, this doesn't compute, right? Like,
yeah, Terrell's like, nice guy's not a nice guy.
This guy put a gun on you, and you think and you still say he's a good man, right? Like he can't grasp the idea of forgiveness, right? Because Laurent is like, well, he had flaws, right? Because like the further back you go, the more respect like people have for their elders, which is kind of sad. But at the same time, like some of our elders now think like they think you don't know shit. So it's like, all right, well, I mean, it's give and take, but
yeah.
But he was like, yeah, he was a good man. I mean, he had some flaws, and Terrell is like, flaws,
huh?
Like flaws are mistakes. Like that shit doesn't. He just couldn't understand it, and I get it.
Yeah, I get it.
Because like I can't. it takes me a while to be able to forgive somebody, man. And when I hear some shit like that, I immediately just want to be like, nah, yo, what was good about that shit?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand it, but
Yeah.
yeah, this character, I get this character, but at the same time, like I'm trying to see things from Laurent's perspective,
Right.
And it's very difficult for me to do so.
Yeah. No. It is. It is. And like, I think kind of that's the point. And,
Yeah.
and it also could be generationally where we fall in line with the characters, right? We are very much on Terrell's perspective, right? I mean, quite literally, like we're telling you guys stories that like align with what he deals with in the movie, which is probably pretty close to real life, I have to imagine. So here's my story that I promised you that is a terrible story. I didn't find this out until this year, I believe. I talked about this on Look Forward, right? And it's I already had this perspective like politically, but I have it as an even deeper perspective now that I know the story about my family. Like my dad is not a lovey-dovey guy. Like he's just not. Like he just never was with any of his kids. And I found out this past year that he lost his sister. My father lost his sister when she was like 16. She died. And she died because she, and I'm not making any of this up. I swear to God, I'm not. She got pregnant when she was 16 and she had no relationship with her father. She was too scared of her father to tell him. And so she tried to perform an abortion and she died.
Jesus.
Yeah. I didn't know that. Like, I was just like, that was just not a story that I'm not close with my father's side of the family. So like, I just didn't know this person existed, which is fucking crazy. But yeah, that happened. And like, that's why I'm like really adamant about like healthcare for women. Like, I don't know, guys. Feels like maybe a mistake to try to ban abortion for women. It's not about whether you agree with it or not. It's just about safety for people. Again, don't use the whole shield thing as a cudgel. It's stupid. But like that level of disconnect from a parent to a child is terrifying to me. Like I tell my daughter all the time, I'm like, look, hey, you never need to be afraid to tell me anything. I may not like what you tell me, but I'm going to listen. And like you 16 and it's like, oh, I'm pregnant. One, I'm like, God damn it. Okay. Like, God damn it. This is not good. I was really hoping to roll the dice for lesbian, but you know, dudes are, come on, lesbian. But if she came to me and was like, I'm pregnant at 16, I'd be like, okay, let's have a conversation about this. Obviously my wife would be involved, obviously. And if she was like, look, I want to have an abortion, we drive you out to the clinic. Like, okay, like it is what it is. But to not have that connection with your kid, that it end up costing you your kid, right?
Yeah, that's like horrible, man.
Yeah, it's horrible. And not only that, but the talk is that when she died, and you know, they found out how she died. When she died, that's when he started drinking, and he just drank himself until the day he died. And so it broke him. So like, imagine growing up in that household without this like loving, lovey-dovey dad. This happens to your sister who you've known for 16 fucking years. She dies. Your dad suddenly changes on a fucking dime and just is completely disconnected from everybody. How are you as a father? Gee, I wonder why my dad has a drinking problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Jesus.
Yeah. Me, on the other hand, I'm like, every so often, I'm like, just going to not have a drink. Let's see what happens. I'm like, not craving anything for a couple of weeks. We're good. Like, all right. But like people are like, you want to do shots and stuff? Nah, good. I'm good. Like, it's just not a thing. This is not a thing. It's not like I don't drink. I had a glass of wine before I got here, right?
Yeah,
So,
but like you don't get shit faced. You know what I mean? Like,
like people are like, hey, buy a case of beer on a Friday to knock it out by Saturday night. No, I don't. Like I don't drink like that, right? I like alcohol as much as the next person, right? But those kind of things, man, they leave an imprint on you. Like it's weird because that story leaves an imprint on me, and I didn't even know it existed at the time, right? Like just those kind of things, they inform how he is, and then he uses that to inform what I am. So like this scene is perfect in those ways, right? Like just to show you, LaRon is like, he talks about doing crack and everything else and getting addicted to it and all that. And all of that is really easy, right up front shit to understand. And you're like, wow, that's really fucked up. But it's the actual story about his father is the point of that scene. To be like, he's a victim too. Now, he didn't handle his shit the way he should have. But you also have to see the humanity in the dad. Because if you can't see the humanity in the dad, then you miss your own humanity going forward. And then you can't see the humanity in your son if he makes a mistake down the line. Right. So, John Elks, dude, he is killing this scene, man. He really does. He fucking, he is on zone. He's putting on a fucking cool. That's amazing.
He's, the next major scene, he is all him too. So, shortly after this, we see Terrell and his son, and he's playing with his son, and they're on the bed, and then they're laying down, and then we flash back to Terrell's childhood. One day he's getting up. He's living with his dad at the time. He gets up, and his dad's a hustler, right? A hustler in that, get up, it's time to go to work, right? And they spend all day working, literally just shoveling shit out of people's yards and into taking it to a dump, right? And they're at the landfill, and he's shoveling shit out of the pickup, and then kid LaRon hops off the bed of the truck and his foot lands on a nail stuck in a board, and it goes straight through his foot. And goddamn, it just happened in the movie.
Yeah, that scene is brutal.
And he's freaking the fuck out, because like any person who would get a nail stuck in their foot.
By the way, it is not in the bottom, all the way through. It goes all the way through.
Yeah. Like a fucking like fucking Jesus on the cross, right? Like nail through the foot, right?
Yeah, he gets stigmata, right?
Stigmata. And LaRon is like, I'm not gonna baby you, boy. And then I saw that shit, and I heard him say that shit, and I had to look inward, man.
Yeah,
because I joke about like, oh, I'm gonna get that boy out there cutting that grass.
I thought about you this whole scene. I was like, give him so much shit.
And when he said, I'm not gonna baby you, I've literally said that to my wife. I said, you can't baby him, right? Because like, she would pick him up, and he's like a head shorter than her, like, what you picking him up for? Like no, don't pick him up, don't treat him like a baby. But to my defense, right, like, it's not like the boy got impaled, right, with a rusty nail. If the boy gets impaled with a rusty nail, then you could baby him a little bit.
No, okay? Walk it off. Keep cutting the grass. Like, oh.
Right, and LaRon literally makes him do that, right? He's like, nah, cut this woman's grass on your busted foot. And, and he's getting pissed, and he's like, come on, man, come on. And, I hear my dad, right? I hear my dad yelling at me, not about like cutting the grass and shit, but like, I remember this one time, I was in like a basketball camp, and I suck at
Okay,
sports, yo.
that's laughable, but okay.
It is, right? I've literally been called a waste of good height, and because I can't play sports, yo. I'm just not that, you know. Anyway, I was at basketball camp, and my father was there, and my father was fucking screaming at me because I sucked, right? He was screaming in the stands, and this white woman turned around and said, "What is the matter with you?"
Oh.
Like she confronted his ass, and then that was when he realized, like, oh shit. Like, what the fuck am I doing? Or, oh shit, I'm in public.
I mean, like
And
when we get home.
yeah, let me lighten this up a bit. But like, if you, he would get frustrated, and when I wasn't doing something the way he thought it was needed to be done, right?
Sure.
And I get frustrated when, like, you know, when I'm trying to work on my son's memory, right? And you tell a kid something. I say, I'll say, what is the answer to this question? And he'll answer the question. And then I'll say, well, what is the answer to question B? Right. And then he'll answer it. And then I'll go back to question A just to make sure he knows what the answer is and is not just repeating shit.
Yeah.
And he can't remember it. And it's like, you literally just said it, right? You literally just said the right answer. And it's just like, well, and I feel, and like on the inside, I'm like, all right, yo, what the fuck, like, how the fuck do you not know this, right? And look, all parents,
this is a universal, this is a universal, and that actually goes to the story, because I do want to get back to what you said, because it's fucking hilarious. But like, this movie is just black people being black, right? And like, they're just in their humanity, right? Like, but this is a common story, and this is why the idea of like, well, this is a movie with black people, how can I understand it as a white person? It's an absentee father because of substance abuse. Right. Tell me they ain't white drug addicts in Appalachia? Of course there are. You telling me there's not a drunk white dad on the West Coast that hasn't seen his fucking kid? Yeah, of course. Like, what the fuck? So these, there's a Chinese dad who don't fucking spend time with his kid because of whatever reason, right? I don't know, opium, right? That's probably a really racist thing to say, right? He's in an opium den or whatever the Asian drug is of choice. But like, that's a common story. So it's like, yeah, you should be able to watch it and be like, I can see myself in that. Like, and I sadly, I think a lot of young men, whatever race they are, probably can to some degree. But yes, getting back to your point, yeah, that's fucking funny.
Yeah, because it's funny when other people are going through it, right? But like,
yeah.
Oh man, it's super frustrating. But look, he's yelling at and look, LaRon is yelling at kid Terrell because he's like not doing this task that he knows how to do, and your kid don't know what your kid don't know, right? And if they do know but can't do, like, you got to teach them, but you can't yell. Don't yell at them, right? To try and get you to do something.
Look, easier like said than done.
Trust me, I know.
Yeah.
But anyway, this scene is the most harrowing scene in the movie for me. This series of, like, this day at work, and because both of these actors, the kid actor, whose name is Ian Foreman, and John Earl Jelks, I mean, they are really fucking like this kid. I feel like this kid has been abused, like, because he's doing this a little too well. He's going through the motions, and he's going through all the emotions the way you think he would. This is a great performance from a child actor. And then
it really is.
Yeah, really is. And fucking LaRon, like, this whole performance from him is excellent, because it's like, yo, you gotta kind of feel a little sympathetic for him, but like, you gotta hate him, right? Like, you gotta see him for who he is, warts and all, right?
Yes.
Like, and how many times have we seen or heard stories of guys who are just real pieces of shit or just fucking dickheads? And then, like you said, at the end of your life, you find God or whatever, and now that was in the past. Oh, that was in the past, son. Can you forgive me? Let's not talk about it anymore, right? Like,
No.
and nah, like that shit stops with this generation. Like, if you wanna talk, we gonna fucking talk, man.
Yeah, and look, in fairness, previous generations are, especially, well, I would say more men than women, are ill-equipped. They quite literally are ill-equipped to deal with a younger generation. It's like, no, let's talk about it. And they're like, wait, well, I'm sorry. No, back in my day, we just have a steak and drink a scotch and just, look at each other and then just fucking let it go. Like, nah, that's not how it's going to work today. Because this generation goes to therapy. This generation has been told that they should deal with their internal, like, traumas and deal with their feelings and everything else. Now, I know there is a portion of fake alpha horseshit that say, oh, you just got to fucking steamroll through life, bro. But no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. Like,
and look,
you have
part
to.
of that is in me, by the way. Part of that is in me.
No, I know. You've expressed that. I don't think that's healthy. But that's, look, as you would likely never say, but you should say it often, God is working on all of us. So that's okay, right? Like we all have our cross to bear, right? Whatever it is you people say. So, but to that point, like he makes that point of like later on, just like sometimes my son just wants to cry, and I think he should, right? Like we have to, as a generation, take this opportunity because it's for the first time ever, Black people have had a level of disposable income, not a lot, but a level of disposable income to try to fix things, not just put up patchwork to continue, but to actually go back and fix things. Talk to people, man. Talk to a professional and try to work shit out. It ain't gonna work in 6 weeks. It is not like taking an antibiotic and then you're like, all right, cool, I'm done. No, it takes time, and you have to just kind of continue doing it over time, and it will get better, right? Just getting that shit out of your head is a good idea. Even if you just fucking journaling, that shit is just good to kind of get those things out of your head and not just stew on them and make yourself and your family and everyone else around you fucking miserable. Micah, as an example, just random.
Suck it up.
Yeah, just get over it. So on the drive home, LeBron is like, made a lot of money. Know what I want? Swing by and pick up some crack. And Terrell's like, Dad, you said you were not going to do that anymore? And he's like, Mine, stay out of grown folks' business, boy. And, Terrell's like, you're right. I'm going to take my one good foot and I'm going to walk my ass home.
I'm going to get on the good foot and I'm going to walk my ass home.
This kid walked home with a foot that had a nail through it. Again, through it. Not stuck in the bottom. Through it. And he walks his ass all the way home to his mom. And you know what? You say whatever you want. He needed his mom in that moment. He did. Because at the end of the day, he is a boy. He's just a boy.
Yep. I'm very adamant about that. Yeah. I'm sure many people will recall, but like, I get trying to prepare you, especially your sons. I get trying to prepare them for the world, but like, let them be children. You got to let them be children.
Please.
Otherwise,
especially Black people. Please.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You don't. That's why, you know what? Let them be kids, man. Please. Yeah. I don't even call them like my little man and all that. Nah. Mm-mm.
No, they're your boys.
No, they're boys. They're my boys.
Yeah.
We get a scene of
and my daughter is not a young
and
she's a
right, especially girls, yo, because like
No.
Because yeah. No, you got to make sure that, like, especially because like girls seem to be developing
Yeah, they're developing faster.
faster, and they see people that they want to emulate, and nah, yo, it's okay to be a kid.
No.
It's okay to be a kid.
And look, and I say this with all seriousness and like no joking at all. I swing a mean baseball bat like she's a little girl. Like, leave my kid alone. Fuck out of here with that. So we see a scene with Terrell and his mother. We haven't talked too much about her. Played by Ingenue Ellis Taylor, Joyce, and she is excellent in this movie. Spoiler alert: Ingenue Ellis Taylor is a phenomenal actress. She is one of those actresses where people go, "I know her," and you fucking should. And she's great in everything. She is, and I think she is a unbelievably underrated actress. And I think it has everything to do with just because she's black. That's it. Because I've literally never seen her in a bad movie or like her performance being bad. Never. I mean, what did we just do? Origin? She was phenomenal in that movie. She carried that shit on her back with ease, it seemed like. So we get a scene between Terrell and Joyce, and Joyce says, like, I still love Laurent. Not that she's in love with him, but she still loves him. And he was her first love. And Terrell's just like, it does not compute. I cannot understand this after all the shit that he put you through. Like, how could you even give a fuck about this guy? Like at all. And he even said, like, do you remember the night with the mirror? And she's like, oh, that was a dream. It's just a dream. I don't think about it as it actually happening. And he's like, no, all of that shit happened. Like he is the voice of reality. And she's very much leaning back on the Bible and her religion. Like, you have to forgive him in order for you to be forgiven. And, you know, and Andre's like, or Terrell's like, I don't care what the Bible says, which is I don't know. Like, I feel like I should get that tattooed on my chest. I'm just kidding. I would. That's crazy.
Oh shit.
So, like,
just like with Thug Life would be tattooed, just on your
just
abs and shit.
Yeah, that's right. I don't care what the Bible says. That's a wild tattoo, yo. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. People have definitely gotten dumber tattoos.
Oh shit.
So he's basically like, listen, like she starts like talking about the Bible and quoting the Bible, and he's like, look, the only father-son relationship I care about is the one between me and that boy over there, right? His son Jermaine. Which I thought was dope. And they start having this, like Dragon Ball Z, but with religion like battle, right? Like she's like, Abraham 615 or whatever the fuck numbers they are. And like he's like Corinthians, like 2 Corinthians, right? And so they're like going back and forth. And he talks about the story of Abraham being told to, kill his son Isaac, if I recall. And so, like that whole story, if you don't know, I remember this from like Bible study. So Abraham takes his son. God's like, Abraham, kill your son. And he's like, what? All right. It's weird, but okay, you got it. And so he takes him up to the mountaintop and he goes to kill him. And then right at the last minute, he's like, aha, there's a ram in the bush. He's like, oh, I should kill the ram. Thanks, God, for like tricking me. It's very weird. But the mom doesn't like
you got to make this sacrifice. And he was like, well, God told me to do it. And he's like, I'm about to do it. And I'm going to do it for real. And an angel comes down and is like, yo, whoa, bro. Yo, there's a camera right there, bro. You're just being punked. It's all good, bro. Like, you don't have to,
It wasn't God. It was actually Ashton Kutcher. We were all kidding around. But so he's just basically like, if you knew, right? Like this, he's basically, he's treating his mom in this scenario like God. He's like, if you knew that you were bullshitting me, that you were gonna like throw this ram out there for me to, kill instead of my son, and he goes, if you knew what type of person he was, and you knew what he was doing, why did you make me go stay with him? And that basically kind of fucks his mom up seriously, because she has to own, and I think it's a powerful moment, but she has to own that she does bear some responsibility too. Right? Like she is not perfect in this, right? And to me, I like that, because it just goes to show you they're all human and they all make mistakes and they fuck up and they do things wrong, but it doesn't necessarily, it's not a 50-50 thing, right? But Joyce is not a perfect saint in that way. She did fuck up, and she's just sobbing. So,
yeah, man, this is another really good scene in a movie full of really good scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started tearing up, man, especially when Andre Hollad was, fighting back them tears. Like she's just like, because she's like, no, this is not the way I wanted this to go, right? Like that's what I imagine she's thinking. This is not it. And then, in seeing it, knowing what happens a couple of scenes later, and seeing her performance and seeing how this slow motion shot is playing right after this. Yeah, God, this is a really good movie, man.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculously good. It really is. It's phenomenal. And so we see after this, Terrell goes to this house, and he's like, this guy sitting on the porch. He's like, hey man, I used to live in that house. And he's like, I hate this house. You want it back? It's like, I hate this goddamn house. This house is a piece of shit. He's like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and leave. Thanks. And so then he goes and picks up his wife from the hotel, or motel really. And like he's just fucked up in his head, right? And he says, am I just blocking out all the good memories because my mind is saturated with all these bad ones? How is I supposed to turn out good if I don't have any positive memories of any of this, of his childhood, which is fucked up. His wife then gets a text message from the half brother and finds out his mom had super high blood pressure and she's in the hospital, and she is, she's on like a ventilator type of thing. And, Terrell is pissed, and he's like, she was fine when I left her. And, but apparently she went into some sort of cardiac arrest right where he left her. And that was the last conversation he had with his mom. LaRon tries to he's got the Bible, and, he's reading from the Bible. You can tell he's new to religion, because it's like the most basic shit, like our daily bread prayer. I'm like, they learn none of the other ones. Like, oh, this is like Jesus 101. Like, come on, dog. Like,
yeah, this is like, now I lay me down to sleep.
Right.
I was like, what the fuck?
Step your game up, LaRon. Like, Jesus Christ, literally. And so Aisha actually confronts him, like, as Terrell and takes Jermaine out of the hospital. He's like, have you ever thought about what this does to everybody else by you showing up? Like, you can't just pick up where you left off, which is a really good line, right? Because I think that is often the case with sort of absentee parents, that they could just be like, all right, you're right, I fucked up. All right, you want to get some ice cream?
Right.
No, I don't. That's not how this is going to work. And so I thought that was a good line by her. She doesn't, like I said earlier, she's a bit underused, but it's kind of like she's not the main point of the movie, so it makes sense. So, at this point, Joyce is still in the hospital, sort of on a ventilator type of thing. And Terrell leaves the hotel like first thing in the morning, and Laurent is already there, like with 2 coffees. He's like, "Hey man, I figured you want to go see your mom first thing in the morning. Let me just drive you, like at a minimum." So they have a conversation, and it's basically like, yeah, like, yeah, you used to work the shit out of me, man. Like, this is fucked up. And he's like, yeah, this is what my dad taught me to do. Like, but Laurent is saying it in a positive way, and it's clearly not a positive to anyone else paying attention.
Right. Hey, and look at you now.
Right, is what he said.
I was like, all right, yo. All right.
You did not make me into this like award-winning artist. I guarantee you.
Right.
Through grit.
Right. The fucking right. The goddamn the bout with tetanus did not formulate my artistic brain.
Yeah.
It just
like that feels like something my dad would say. That's why you're doing so well for yourself. I'm like, that's why.
Because I wasn't around. The
like,
fuck?
Thanks? I mean, honestly, thanks. But that's not how that works. Your absentee parenting is not it did not forge steel into my spine, and that is why I am the mediocre success that I am today. But that's a terrible sort of glad handing nonsense that absentee parents do. Well, I had to be responsible for something, and obviously my shitty parenting is the thing that drove you to be so great.
Right.
No.
Fucking negative reinforcement. Get the fuck out of here with that shit.
Look at me. I didn't show up to your graduation. Thanks, Dad. And that's why you didn't go to college for a while. You're right. So Laurent shows him, he's got this box, and he's like, hey, take a look at this box. Open it. And he opens it. I'm not going to lie. I'm a bit of a fucking softie. I was like, you got me, movie. You got me. In the box is all of these newspaper clippings of stories about Terrell. So even while he was going through all his shit, he was still keeping tabs on his son and was proud of him. I was like, that's good. It doesn't fix anything, but it does show, again, a level of humanity for the character. I got a little choked up. It
shows that he's trying, which is more than what a lot of people do. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Yeah, he was still proud, and he shows that to him. Like, yeah, I still think about you, and like you said, a lot of people don't, unless they need a kidney or some shit.
Oh, I'd love that phone call. I'd love it. Like, you need a kidney, huh? New liver? Like, can't give you that one, buddy. Nah, would I give my dad a kidney?
I don't think you would.
No, he got other kids.
There you go. There you go.
I'm gonna go through surgery? Nah, B, that sounds crazy.
Right, because then what if your kidney get fucked up?
Yeah. That's a way to really look at the world when it comes to donating organs. Well, what about me?
I'm just saying, like, you gave your kidney away to somebody that might not appreciate it, and then and now my kidney's fucked up.
Now what I gotta do? I gotta go get it. I gotta go. Right. I gotta go to China and get one of those stolen kidneys they take from prisoners. I don't want a Chinese kidney.
Yeah, you don't want a bootleg kidney, yo.
You can't do that. It's got microplastics in it, probably. Mine does too, of course. But yeah, I think I would literally be like, go ask one of your other kids. That's fucked up, but I would, dude. I would. I was like, yeah, go ask your daughter you made up with it. You didn't bother making up with me. And then she blew me off when I tried to reach out to her. Go ask her. She's a good Christian. Go ask her. I'll go to church together. Oh, stank ass. I hope you're listening. So yeah, dude, again, about forgive and forget. I'll never forgive or forget. I really will. No. That is a real dirtbag move she pulled. So after the car ride and they have this conversation, Terrell goes and he goes in the hospital to see his mom. Terrell and LaRon are walking to the hospital room together, and Terrell just stops and looks back at him like, "You're not going in there with me." Like, there's no words exchange, but it's the most like, "Take a seat, nigga. Like, you can go in after I'm done." Conversation. There's a lot said without a single word being spoken in that scene, which is great. It was really good. I was like, is he trying to go? Like, I was like, I know he's not trying to go in the room at the same time. Like, you don't deserve that privilege. Get out of here. So he goes in alone, and basically it's the last time he sees his mom alive. She dies. In the next scene, she's gone.
We get
Andre Hollad
flash
tearing up the scene, man.
We get a flashback of the night with the mirror that she said was just a dream. And again, this is, it's the scene is pretty horrifying for me. It's basically Terrell walks home like from the previous flashback segment, and the mom takes him to the hospital, gets him patched up. They go back home, and Joyce and LaRon have a confrontation, and it's a verbal confrontation, and it is intercut with a push and shot of young Terrell as they are arguing, and it just is. The argument is going back and forth, and it's getting to the point where it's just noise, right? Like it's just constant noise that you hear. And yeah, man, like that's what it is. That's what it's like. Like I've been where young Terrell was, and when my parents would argue over the dumbest shit.
Yep.
At least that I can remember. And it just, like, you hear that shit and it's just like, it gives you anxiety. You know what I mean? Like, it gives you like what the fuck is going to happen? Right.
Right.
And thankfully nothing like what happens in this movie happened in my house.
Yeah.
But
not for me either, thankfully.
Yeah. But it's just like, you don't know as a kid, you like, fuck, what's going to happen? And if something happens, what can I do about it? What am I going to do? What can I do? How can I help? Am I next? Right? Like, it's horrifying. Right. It's horrifying. And
they do a lot. They do. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
No, I just started to, kind of tear up a bit, man, as I'm looking at the shot of young LaRon and all this noise and shit, man. It's like, fuck, man.
Yeah, and you can deeply fuck a kid up like this. You deeply, deeply, deeply fuck them up. And there's a lot of push-in shots, by the way, of sort of close shooting of the parents as they're arguing as this becomes physical, which is really, it's really a fucking brutal way to shoot the scene, right? Because you can't sort of escape the brutality of the scene because it's so in your face, yet you can't see it, right? Like, if that makes sense, right? You're seeing like hands moving across the screen, but you're also seeing like faces like contorting with like anger or fear in those like in these like slow pushbacks, and then you see like this push in of LaRon holding Joyce, right? And almost like a loving way, but it's not. It's like after he's already hurt her, right? Like it's a hell of a scene because it's really, the way it's shot is really sort of antithetical to how you would shoot a scene like this normally. It would be fast and brutal or just straight, kind of flat shot, but they do it in a way that makes it far more intimate, which makes it deeply, deeply uncomfortable. Like really. And then they pull out to young Terrell running up and like yelling at LaRon, like, help me get her up. What did you do to her? What did you do? And meanwhile, she's laid out and the mirror is all broken and all this other shit. So, yeah, very smartly done. Then we see kind of Terrell having what every person has when their parents die. You have to have something, right? You got to have whatever that moment looks like for you. It's not necessarily a level of anger. It's just like it. Everybody has like, they just have to deal with it in their particular way. Sometimes it's anger. Sometimes it's just, unbelievable sadness. Sometimes it's, you just cry and cry and cry, or, or you go and you throw yourself into your work, whatever that is. Everybody has something. You have to deal with it in some way. And we see in the motel room, Terrell is having that moment. And he just literally rips the bed sheet off of the bed and nails it to the wall, spreads it out and nails it to the wall, and pulls out his art supplies, and he draws a picture of his mother. Because he's just like, he's got to get her out of his head, because he's just totally freaking out. So it's a great scene.
Yeah, it is. It is. Let's there's a couple of montage shots. Let's just kind of the montage shots are basically Terrell grieving.
Yeah.
Coupled with Andre singing, which I thought there would be a little more of, because she is an actual singer.
Yeah. In the Billie Holiday movie, she's played Billie Holiday. Right?
Yeah, she plays Billie Holiday, and she was also in the Deliverance. Your favorite movie. So we let's cut to the night of the exhibition. Terrell is there, and he is very obviously like not a people person. Like, he's not into all of this.
Yes, the many art openings I've been to. This scene is incredibly accurate, because this guy's an artist. Like,
yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And shit.
You want to pause? What's up?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's at the art opening, and so his dealer is there, and it's like, all right, can you like he wants to leave in the worst way, right? He's doing a lot of like, handshaking or whatever. You can tell he's completely uncomfortable. He would rather be quite literally anywhere else. And I don't know if that's just sort of his character always, or if it's just because of his mom passing. I think it's okay to read that either way, to be honest.
Yeah.
He's being introduced to people by his rep, and he's like, that's cool. I fucking hate being here. And so the rep is like, all right, cool. I see Aisha, his wife is like, I see Aisha has gone home. Can I get you to stay a little bit longer? And he's like, she's like, what about 20 minutes? He's like, yeah, 10 minutes. That sounds great. Like, my man is like ready to get the fuck out of here. Yeah. And then his representative sees someone touching one of the art pieces, and she's like, sir, you can't touch the artwork. And of course it's Laurent, and he turns around and she's like, oh my God, you're his father. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk to you like that. My bad. And so she's very apologetic. We get a image of one of his paintings, this huge painting, which is of his mother, of Ingenue Ellis Taylor. It's a phenomenal drawing, by the way. Like, it's or painting. It's just absolutely great. So at one point, Terrell has his classic come to blackness moment, and this white guy's like, "Excuse me, I own two of your paintings, and
therefore I own you."
Yeah,
like, what the fuck, yo?
Yeah, basically is what he's saying, and he's like, I have a favorite painting of yours. It's over my bed. And I'm like, what fucking painting would that be? His paintings are about black trauma.
Right.
You and your family are weird. Right, I'm not mad that you own it, right? Like, it was like over your bed. Like, why though? So he's talking about like how his daughter, who's at Dartmouth, is wanted to take one of the art pieces with her and all this other stuff. And then while they're having this, or this guy is talking to Terrell because he's not having a conversation, he sees Laurent is there. And so he starts getting fucking pissed. And so the guy's like, hey, can I take a picture? And immediately Terrell's like, don't touch me. Like, because the guy touches her and he's like, don't touch me. Like, you don't fucking know me. And the guy's like, well, I just bought 2 of your paintings. And, is a picture too much to ask? He's like, you don't fucking know me just because you bought a fucking picture. Like, why don't you give
Right.
your fucking daughter? And he just starts like laying into this dude very publicly. I'm a big supporter of this scene. I think it's awesome. I think a lot of times, especially, I wouldn't say I've experienced it like directly, but I've definitely seen this idea of people thinking that just because they own a piece of art or they're a big fan of an artist or something like that, that somehow that person doesn't really matter as a human being. They're just there to kind of churn out these things that they enjoy.
Yeah.
And I love this guy's response. Like, Andre Holland's like, get the fuck out of here. Fuck you and your daughter, Katie or Jenny or whatever the fuck her name is.
That's how people treat celebrity, man. Like, they forget they're human beings, right? You go to a sporting event and athletes get called every fucking racial slur or bigoted, homophobic comment ever.
That's correct.
But then turn right the fuck around and be like, can I get a picture? Like, fuck you, yo. Yeah. Like, just because you bought that ticket, it gives you entry. You don't fucking own me.
Yep. What's that Bill Burr joke is like, yeah, when like the basketball fans are like, hey, fuck you, Ron Artest. Why don't you come up here? He's like, right. And he came up there. He started like knocking out 10 people at a time. It was fucking awesome. It's like those guys deserved it. Yeah, good. Yeah, like I'm not a celebrity worship person. Like, I find that weird. Like, if you create a Stan account on social media, I think you should be fucking committed. I think it's a mental illness. I really do. Like, why are you doing this for free? Like, why are you doing it for free? Like, okay, you run their social media account or something like that. That's fine. You running a free one? Oh, Ariana Grande, Stan for life. That's all this account tweets about. Like, you need to seek help, yo. You need to ask yourself why you're doing that. It's bizarre. She doesn't know you. And so I'm not a celebrity, I'm not a star fucker by any means. But I also they're human beings, man. Like, even the ones you like or don't like, they're still people. Like, just treat them like they're human beings. And I say all that to say, like any other human being, who gives a fuck?
Yeah, who gives a shit?
Yeah. I liked your artwork, or I liked your movie, or your song, or whatever. Great. All right, fucking keep it moving. It's not that serious. So Terrell goes to cool down in the back after dunking on that white man in public, and Laurent comes back there, and his first question to Laurent is like, "Why are you here?" And his second question is, "Why are you here?" And they basically have it out a little bit, right? And they like. He's like, listen, I didn't paint this picture because, it was, I think Laurent says like, oh, you painted that picture of me, and it's really great. And it, helped you, like kind of get things, get over things, stuff like that. He's like, no, I painted that so that it was on canvas so I could grab it by the throat. So it would be tangible. Like, this idea of like kind of pushing back against it, which I thought was dope. And this is the forgiveness conversation. And he says, listen, You gotta forgive, and God's gonna let all that wash away. It's just gonna let it all wash away. And he's like, you know what? I do forgive you, Laurent, but I'll never forget what you did to my mother. And he's like, and he says, you don't get, and Laurent says, well, we always have the future. And that this should get an Oscar on its own. He says, Terrell rebuffs that and says, no, you had the past, and I truly forgive you for what happened, right? Or what you did to me. But the future belongs to Aisha and Jermaine. Future belongs to my son. I was like, that's a dope fucking line, man. Like that is a pitch perfect way of handling that. I forgive you, but I don't have to forget. I certainly am not going to forget what you did to my mom. And I don't owe you shit. I don't owe you shit. I don't have to like, hey, we're going to be buddy hanging out. No. I forgive you. God bless you. Do whatever it is you do over there. But I don't have to have my future with you in it. And that is the thing I think people forget. They don't get right about forgiveness. You can forgive somebody, but you don't have to stand there and just allow that abuse to continue or hang out with the person who is an abuser and everything else. You do not. Even if they get their shit together, you are not required to do that. If you want to, that's great, but you are not required to. Yeah. I love this response. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I don't. No notes. Like I think you're right. I think people equate forgiving with forgetting. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, well, we squashed it, so we cool now, right? And that's the mentality that children have, and they have it because they don't know any better.
Yeah, exactly.
And like when my son and I when we disagree on something and he throws a tantrum, and then I have to remember like I can't throw a tantrum, and but like he did something that I didn't want him to do, but then like 5 minutes later it's like, oh, okay, so like, can I do this? I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
I'm
still upset.
Right. I'm not
upset.
Right. No, I'll say, I mean, that is a true story. Like, kids are over the shit 2 seconds after you finish.
Yeah.
And yeah, adults are like, yo, I need 30 minutes or an hour. You really piss me off.
Yeah, give me a minute, man. You gotta give me a minute. But no, you don't have to. You're right. You don't have to let this shit back in your life. I mean, that's just self-preservation at that point, right? Yeah. Like,
this is basic.
And even with family, right? Like in this movie, like it's one thing to say that to like people or your friends, or that your friend did you wrong or something like that, but it's a little different when it's family. Like it takes a little more fortitude to say that to a family member, and especially an immediate family member.
Yeah, 100%.
So, but again, you don't need that shit in your life, man. Like,
no, you're not.
The ball's in your court now. You know what I mean? You don't have to forgive, and you don't have to forgive. But if you forgive, you damn sure don't have to forget.
No. But again, I really enjoy that this is the take that the movie does, because they don't go back on that, right? They don't go, yeah. And 2 months later, they're all, hey, Grandpa. And everybody's like, nope. No, I said what I said, and I wasn't fucking around. I do forgive you. Stay over there. And I think that's dope. And look, I don't know if they ever were in contact after that or what have you. Doesn't matter. He can truly forgive him. And like, not that I think I'll ever have that opportunity, but I do like that aspect of a possible way of dealing with like my father and stuff like that. My only problem with it is I don't forgive you though. Like, and I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, if he has, oh, can you forgive me for everything that happened? I mean, that would require a massive shift in his personality to admit that he was wrong about something. I wonder where I get it from. If I'm being honest. But if he did, I mean, the heavens would probably open. But if he did, I would be like, but I don't forgive you. Like, I don't. Like, sorry. I get why you think I should. And look, you may not even be wrong. But what you gonna do about it? You can't fight me. You 80, yo. You in your 80s. Get out of here. Yes, this is crazy. But like, yeah, I don't. And I don't have to. Now, if I decided, you know what? I do think this is better for my conscience or my soul or whatever. Sure. But I don't. Like, I don't. I don't think so. I think it would make me feel good for a second, and then I would get away from him and I would immediately be like, I don't like that I did that. Like, because I don't.
Yeah.
I would be lying to myself.
Right. The only way I could see you doing that is if you thought that it would make you the better man to forgive, but then you would sit back and be like,
but I lied.
What the fuck, though? You're like, I didn't mean it.
Well, look, I can tell you exactly how that dialogue would go. Oh, maybe this will make me the better man. Huh. Okay. And I would go home and I'd be like, I already am the better man. So,
there you go.
And then I would sit atop my throne of arrogance, right? But like, no, I just don't see it. Like, I just don't see it. Like, at the end of this movie, I'm like, this is a wonderful ending. It couldn't be me. Like, I don't think so. And it's just, and maybe it's because I'm not as enlightened. Maybe I need more therapy. 100% possible. But it would require so much for him to come so far to, like, I've been in therapy for the last 10 years. I've been doing all this. I've been, you know what? I realized that my dad this and da-da-da. It would have to take so many things for me to go, damn, you did the work. That's crazy, dog. No, but good for you. Right? Like, it would take more time than he probably has for him to do the work, to be honest about doing the work. For me to be like, all right, there's a real change. If I thought it was a legitimate change, I'm being hyperbolic for comedic effect. But if I thought there was real change, however that came about, right? Struck by lightning, aliens, whatever. If I thought it was real change, then I could have a conversation and be like, maybe. I'm still not introducing you to my daughter. I'm just not. Like, that's just not going to happen. Nah. Like, not sorry. But yeah, it's a good ending. And so the very end of this movie, actually right before that, Andre Hollad is again putting on a clinic, and he's just like, he's crying, and he says, "Listen, I do forgive you, but I'm not gonna forget." And he hits him with the future shit, which was just the fucking line of the century. And then like the dealer is showing, I don't know who's that, Steve Bannon, that little sculpture that LaRon was. I think it looks like Tucker Carlson and Steve Bannon had a baby. It's really gross. She's showing him the piece that LaRon was touching. That's of his face, like half covered up. And Terrell just walks up and he's like, walks in between them, takes it off the wall, like, nah, not for sale. Fuck out of here. And he just walks it across the room. And she's like, hey, you can't do that? Like, bitch, what you mean I can't do that? It's my art.
Right.
Like,
it's mine.
Like, shut up. I'll close this whole shit down. And he goes over to LaRon and he hands it to him. And he's like, put this in your prayer closet. Right? And that's the closest they're going to get in this movie to what looks like an olive branch from Terrell. Yeah. And he says, don't stop praying for me. Right? Because earlier in the truck when he showed him all the newspaper clippings, he said, I never stopped praying for you. So he's like, yeah, don't stop. Thank you. But he's not going to forget what LeRon did. And LeRon is just standing there after Terrell walks out and he's just crying. Yo, love your parents, yo. And more importantly, parents, love your kids. Love your kids.
Yeah.
So you don't end up like this.
And call a senior.
Yeah, good for you. Yep, I like that. All right. So then at the end of the movie, we see Terrell going to the painting of himself cutting the grass with a bloody foot, and he literally uses an X-Acto knife to remove himself from that scene, which is pretty pitch perfect. I thought that was a pitch perfect moment. Just removing himself from that trauma, quite literally. And then you see Jermaine come in to the studio, and he's like, "Are you all right, Dad?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm okay." He says, "I love you, and I love you too." And that's him letting go of that trauma, or learning to. Correct. Yeah. Fucking perfect ending.
It's a really good movie, man. This is a really good movie. You know, if you need to have a conversation with a loved one, maybe you two could watch this movie. Right. Well, I was going to say watch the movie together, right? But you're just like, Netflix that shit. Old school Netflix that shit. Yeah. And just mail it.
Yeah, just buy it and just mail the Blu-ray. Like, look, I don't know if you got a Blu-ray player, but like get a PS4 or whatever. Like you got a big dog.
That's funny.
Yeah. But it's really good. It's this movie is nothing to sneeze at. It really isn't. Very, very good movie. I hope it gets some level of recognition. I mean, it's a smaller black film, so probably not, unfortunately. But yeah, Titus Kaphar. I know he's writing and directing something that he knows. Yo, you got real skill. Do more shit, because I would watch it 100%. I think that this guy is super talented. He's a super talented painter, by the way, but clearly also a very good writer-director. Turns out, which is yeah, man. Like, you're not supposed to have all the powers. That's not fair. Like, come on. You got to be bad at something. You got to be bad at like one or two things. Apparently, he's not. So
yeah. Well, apparently, all things art. He is not bad at all.
Yeah, he's fucking dominating. All right, that is it for us for episode 274. Exhibiting forgiveness. We will be back next year. Okay, so this is our last episode for 2024. Should have probably said that in the beginning. But we are taking our yearly holiday break for 2 weeks to spend time with our families and not talk to you people. But we will be back with a preview episode first week of January. And we're going to do the movie that we were supposed to do instead of this, which I'm looking forward to? Question mark.
I am cautiously optimistic about this.
Yeah. So I have not looked up a Rotten Tomato score, and I'm not going to.
Me neither. I'm trying to not, but we'll probably end up watching it over the break. And if we do, that means I really hope this movie's good, because I'll have to rewatch it to refresh my memory before we record the next episode. So
I'm not doing that. I'm waiting until no. Yeah, I've been burned way too many times. Nice try. But yeah, we'll be back first week of January. Somewhere around the first week of January. And with a preview episode for episode 275. Later, guys.
See ya.
Bye. You're watching the Black on Black Cinema YouTube channel. Make sure you check out our full reviews of black movies, past and present. And every other week, we do a preview episode where we talk about a random topic that affects the black community.